Hello and welcome to my video. This is going to be a tutorial for my May cosplay. For now it's just going to be just the tunic and not the rest of the cosplay. I had to make this in multiple parts due to the fact that the YouTube gods only permit me 15 minutes right now. I may stutter or have a little bit of lisp because recently I got braces, so please ignore that for now. Hopefully I will be able to adjust soon enough. Alright, and let's get started. Alright, and to start I have two fabrics, one for the bottom and one for the tunic. These are actually curtains that I bought either at thrift stores or on clearance at Walmart. So the maroon one is the one I'm going to use for the top portion. I'm going to start by sketching out basic lines like the neck hole, my shoulders, and straight down the center. I'm going to be revisiting these lines constantly throughout the video, so hopefully that won't get annoying. And I'm also going to be drawing the little triangle that she has. The shoulders are a little further out than where my shoulders actually end, just to give it that pointed look that she has. Here I'm going to be folding it in half and half again, just so that the neck hole will be at the center and I can cut it and make it more symmetrical when I do so. Once it's cut, I'm going to be putting it back onto my mannequin again, just so I can go over my lines once again, since the fabric will be sitting on the mannequin more evenly instead of like a tent. And I've also made a line down underneath the bust line to show where the belt will be starting. Now I'm going to be making a line down the center of the fabric on either side and then connecting those two dots all the way down. I'm only going to be cutting the top fabric, not the back portion, so just one layer, not both layers. I'm going to be going over this line quite a lot. I'm a little bit of a perfectionist and I wanted to make sure it was as straight as possible. And I wish I had a yardstick at this moment so that it would have been a lot easier and a lot faster, because I feel like I spent way too much time on it. Sorry for my lens cap being in the frame, but there's the line. Next, I'm just making sure that everything's sitting on my body to where I want it to be. Because, you know, a mannequin is not going to be the exact picture perfect shape of my body. I made a line from that under bust line to the neck hole, not making the neck hole any bigger than what it is. Just trying it on to make sure it's as wide as I want it to be. It was roughly 1.5 inches that I cut off. I'm just making sure all my marks are where I need them to sit on my body. And once I've gotten those last marks, I'm going to measure from the neck hole to that mark, and it was roughly 10 inches. So I'm just going to make sure that both sides are exactly the same. I was measuring down the side of it to cut off the excess fabric, but I had a little bit of an accident. If you're squeamish and do not like needles, I recommend you skip ahead, because I kind of had an accident and I pressed my calf into my pin cushion and got a needle lodged into my leg. I was a little squeamish myself. I don't like needles in my body like that, so I had to have my boyfriend take it out for me. Once that incident was resolved, I went back to working on it, just gradually making my line down the sides so I can cut off the excess fabric. I'm doing it on both sides, of course. If you have any questions, feel free to ask them in the comment section below. I will do my best to answer them as accurately as possible. I am very new to this. I've never made a tutorial video before, so if I'm not being descriptive enough, I apologize. I will do my best over time to get better. And once those lines are done, I can go ahead and chop, chop, chop. I am already currently working on the jumpsuit portion underneath the tunic. Hopefully that will be done fairly soon, so I can post the second part closely after this part is uploaded. So once I tried it on, it was a little short, but luckily the way the curtain was sewn together, it had a lot of excess fabric under the seam, so I was able to seam rip it by hand to have that extra little length. Right, and there it is. Once I got that extra length, I had put a pin to the height where I wanted the point to start at the top. It was roughly 4 to 5 inches, and then I used a ruler to measure down the length so I can have that point towards the bottom. And I did it to both sides, making sure to measure each side and make sure they're exactly the same, so it was all symmetrical. I finished with the lines, I was able to go ahead and make the cut. I went ahead and hemmed it. Make sure to fold it twice, because if you don't fold it twice, the frame portion will be out and it can really just ruin the look for your costume. Make sure you have a fresh new needles, because sometimes for sewing machines it's really hard to cut through that much fabric. And then for the color, I used a regular basic white cotton fabric. I put it in like foiled tea bags so that it would have more of a dingy color, and then I pressed the fabric to make it nice and crisp. Once I was done pressing it, I also sewed both edges of it so that it would have a finished seam. And then for pinning it to the actual tunic, I made sure to fold both fabrics so that the center lines would meet, and then work my way to the edges of the fabric. And I pinned it in such a way that the wrong side, the inside, was facing the right side of the fabric. So that way once it was sewn together, it can be flipped over like a basic collar. It would look a lot neater if I was able to serge the edges, but I actually do not know how to use a serger. I have one, as you can see in the background, but I just have yet to learn how to use it. And now with that excess fabric I was talking about earlier, I use it to make a belt by measuring it across my waist and then cutting it. Once it was to size, I was sewing the edge and along the length. Okay, and now for the annoying part, flipping it over. The worst portion of any sewing project is just having to do this. It's so time consuming and pointless. Once it's flipped over, I try to make sure that it was all crisp and neat by like pinching the corners out. For the closure, I actually use snaps to make it so that it can sit on my waist, obviously. You can either use Velcro or any other type of closure you want. Personally, I prefer snaps though. It's just easier, it's faster, whip it on, whip it off. And then for the circle in the middle, I use that same cotton fabric I used for the collar and trace a circle on it. You can use whatever object, and then sewing along it, making sure to leave a tiny opening and cutting the edges so that when you flip it over, it'll be nice and crisp. Once it's flipped over, you can sew the opening shut. Be sure to take your time with sewing this because it can be very frustrating not getting that perfect little circular shape. Because you know, sewing machines are more built for making straight lines and circles. Once that's done, you can pin it onto your belt and then sew slowly and carefully along the edge. Mine wasn't perfect, but you can only ask for so much when you're sewing a circle. And there you have it. Alright, I thank you so much for watching this video. Be sure to give it a like, subscribe so you can get notified when the next part is uploaded. See you later.